We're running? Cool. Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of LAFS Chats. Today we're talking to an author, a stand-up comedian, the guy who's literally written the book on stand-up. Please say hello to the wonderful Adam Bloom. Hello, sir.
Hello, a lovely introduction.
Yes, thank you very much. It's good to see you.
Yes, you too.
So I thought what we could do is we could kind of start with a bit about you. Where did you kind of grow up and what got you into stand-up comedy?
I grew up in Richmond, West London. I wanted to be a comedian from the age of 9, and I saw Harry Hill when I was 22 and a half. Blew my mind. I got sacked from a job and went, I'm going to do my first gig. So 23 years old in 5 days.
Wow.
Did my first gig. But it was inspired by Harry Hill.
I think Harry Hill had that effect on a lot of Brits, didn't he? I think there's that lovely rich vein of kind of surreal stand-up that we maybe grew up with, which really pushed a lot of people onto the stage.
I think he's the most inventive comedian of our generation globally, because he pushes and pushes, and people see him on TV Burp and they think that's what he does. That's a family show that he sort of stumbled into. He was just the succinct, brilliant, inventive lines. Took it to another level, in my opinion, and had 15 callbacks in a 20-minute set. You know, non sequiturs that made sense later on. Yeah, he was phenomenal.
He's one of my favourites because I feel like even as someone who writes jokes for a living, it's very hard to spot where he's going with so much stuff. You know, I think you'd have to have a genius level intellect to understand what his punchline's going to be in advance.
Yeah, there's a line of it. I won't be able to do it justice, and it's not one of my favourite lines. I could quote 100 lines above this one, but I went, when he did it, I went, how did you make that work? He went, out of nowhere, he went, oh, Mr. Wallpaper, how pretty your design, but beware, air bubble. And I mean, so he crashed into reality, right? He's talking to wallpaper like it's a person. How pretty, but beware, air bubble. The pause, the dramatic, and suddenly the air bubble is the problem in the real world, right?
Yeah.
So he's got this fairy tale like language. Oh, Mr. Wallpaper, and then air bubble. The cadence, and I managed to make you laugh doing that one-on-one, not in his outfit with his voice, him doing it. But that's not an example of a great line of his. It's an example of how he understands the mechanics of twisting something. That how did he even think that would be funny? But it was funny because he understood what he was doing. That's just so sophisticated.
Yeah.
And someone might go, that's not such a really silly sentence. He managed to make that funny.
Well, I think he boils down so many ideas just to like 2 lines. He had a young guy in the audience on his last tour. You go, how old are you? And the guy says, oh, I'm 21. And he just goes, vape, vape, scroll, scroll, vape, vape. And I was like, yeah, perfect. You know, you've just like absolutely.
I've seen that one. He had a line that had no setup or punchline. It was on Friday Night Live or whatever it was in the late 90s. And he's doing his stuff. They looked at the camera and he went, if Mummy loved me, why she no breathing? Which is dark, right? There's a darkness to some of his stuff as well. Because it's all silly and surreal, but there is a darkness. But that line there, that's tragedy, right?
Oh, big time.
But he said it playfully like that. But out of the blue, there's no setup punchline. It's one sentence.
Yeah, he's a guy. This is going to lead in nicely. He's a guy in his writing style breaks many of the rules that you would maybe talk about in your wonderful book.
Well, that's why I don't call them rules.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and I said very early on. I said, are there exceptions to this rule? I said yes, and that applies to every rule. Of course it does. Rules are made to be broken by people who understand them. But you get this young comedian who goes, I'm going to do this weird stuff. You go, yeah, but do you understand the basics? Because Picasso didn't start by drawing noses out of people's ears. He could draw anything to extreme accuracy, anything, this scene here, like a painting.
Yeah.
And he went, well, I'm going to start exploring now.
Well, I suffered this very badly with my first ever special because when I was young, I considered myself, I wanted to be Ade Edmondson. I wanted to be a great kind of alternative act, very loud, very big, move an awful lot. And I made this first film and now I won't show it to people because when I look back at it, I think, I was trying to... The phrase I've used to describe it is I was trying to subvert the form before I understood the form.
Exactly. Rick Mell was my hero growing up. Wyatt Edmondson.
Yeah.
No, Wyatt Edmondson.
Oh, Ade Edmondson. I loved Ade because I'm kind of like a metally guy. And he was one of the first characters in The Young Ones ever.
Vivian.
Yeah, Vivian.
Right,
so I was obsessed with Vivian because he was about the only TV representation of someone I kind of aspired to be, him and Wayne from Wayne's World.
Did you see Filthy Rich and Catflap?
I did indeed, yes.
People listening to this, Filthy Rich and Catflap was that second album that everyone forgot. But for me, it was the best thing Ben Elton's ever written. Second albums, Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique, their second album flopped. That's their greatest album, if not the greatest album ever. Eddie Murphy, Raw. Everyone talks about Delirious. Raw's better than Delirious.
Yeah.
Delirious doesn't stand the test of time. So three of my favourite things ever are all second albums.
Yeah.
Raw, Filthy Rich and Catflap, and Paul's Boutique. So this thing about second albums not being good, I think it's a myth.
Yeah, because quite often they need to be reevaluated years later, don't they? Because...
Yes, and also people want more of the same. So when Eddie Murphy turns up in a blue suit, I'm like, I like the red suit.
Yeah.
Or in Filthy Rich and Catflap, Nigel Planer's got a balding wig.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was him for the first 15 minutes of it.
Oh,
and I was
wow,
like,
yeah.
I want him to be Neil. And then you have to learn the new characters and accept that they're doing something different.
Yeah.
Bands do evolve, right?
And comedians as well, once you've done that initial leap, you then start to... Because a lot of the first stuff you do is built when you're learning, isn't it? And some of that holds over to your first special or your first tour or whatever it might be. But then the second one, you're coming at it now as a seasoned professional. You understand certain things, you write differently, you express yourself differently. So you do produce a different product. Sure. You can... in the case of people like Michael McIntyre, he became a lot slicker and a lot more accessible, but he kept that kind of very tight joke writing ability.
Right. Do you know who became less accessible when they got big?
Who?
Harry Hill.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Sean Locke, who's my favourite, when he got big, he shaved off some of the weirdness, made it a little bit more like I'm a normal bloke with weird ideas. Whereas earlier Sean Locke was coming on doing karate chops. And do you ever see that stuff?
Yeah,
like that. And it was really weird. So he went a little bit more, okay, the mainstream liking me now, I'm going to broaden it a bit, still will be brilliant, still going to be amazing, the fans will still love it. Harry Hill went, okay, I'm weird, I've gone mainstream, let's push it. Is that incredible?
Oh, yeah.
Let's push it further and further. Beds. Do you see that routine?
Yeah, that's one of my favourites.
Pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And I just thought, what a brave thing to do, because if the country falls in love with you, but you're a bit weirder than anything they've seen, you might go, don't go too weird. Manager might go, just go easy, or don't do that, but it's too weird. He went, no, I'm going weirder. And then what you got is the strangest comedian in the country on primetime television.
Yes, and he's also one of the biggest comedians in the country.
Sure.
Yeah, I do think people gravitate towards a unique voice, though, as well as the other thing. I think other than maybe Vic and Bob, he stands almost entirely on his own. Yeah, Harry Hill.
He said in an interview that he watched Vic and Bob before he did stand-up and went, that's exactly what I want to do. Of course, he did his own version, weird, but that was when you mentioned that. I've just realised I'm making this about Harry Hill, aren't I?
We're going to just put this out and say this is Adam Bloom's love letter to Harry Hill. But so let's refocus a little bit and get back to this wonderful book. So how long were you a stand-up before you decided to get all of this down?
30 years.
30 years. So you've got 30 years of on-the-road experience. And for anyone who doesn't know, a big part of your work is kind of joke fixing for other people, working with other acts as well. So you've also got a very good reputation, not just as a performer and a writer of your own material, but also someone who is trusted by the big boys to come and kind of fix their stuff.
Yeah. So before the book came out, I'd written for 50 people, which took 20 years. And in the just under 3 years since it's out, I've written for another 80 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I've doubled it in a tenth of the time.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you feel like... do you feel like the book kind of raised your access to these people a little bit, maybe?
Of course, yeah. People in all countries around the world email me and say, oh, can you work on my set with me? And they send me a clip of them and we discuss it. So, yeah, people in the States wouldn't have ever heard of me. I did another thing as well. They wouldn't have heard of Harry Hill either.
Of course, yeah.
Because as much of a national treasure is here, I get emails from other countries saying, oh, my God, I've just discovered Harry Hill.
Yeah.
And Harry Hill doesn't need my help, despite what this entire podcast might look like. but it's great. And also, like I mentioned, people like Gavin Webster. I quote Noel James. Noel James is a comic genius. unknown. He did Britain's Got Talent, got through to the second round, and had his 50 minutes of fame. But Noel James is a really, really respected comedian. I said to Noel, "You're a comedian's comedian." He said, "I'm actually a comedian's comedian."
Yeah, the people who talk about comedy like me the most, who also do
He's
comedy.
the guy that Milton Jones likes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I love the fact that I can give nods to people. You know, I call Nina Benjamin a force of nature. Well, if you're enjoying that book, you're going to Google her, aren't you?
Oh, definitely.
And she does 4 chapters of the audiobook as well.
One of the things I loved about reading the book is at the beginning you actually advise people like, oh, if you don't know this act that I'm talking about, please do have a little look. And I'm sure you've encountered this in your own kind of travels, but quite often people who work in the arts, they're almost sometimes a bit defensive about the idea of bigging other people up too much, you know. Some of the more successful stand-ups I've worked with quite often have a very low opinion of most other people, you know, and this kind of makes me a little bit sad. But I was really pleased to see that not only do you kind of love stand-up, you're also someone who encourages people to watch other people who love stand-up, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, for everyone in that book who I quote because I think they're amazing, there's 20 people who I can't bear to watch. So, you know, this is me folks celebrating on what I love. But the more you know about something, the harder it is to be impressed, right? Because
of course.
I watch a comedy club howling at a basic pullback and reveal. Oh, it turned out to be your dad, did it? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the audience are howling, and I'm, you know, I'm desperately trying not to have contempt for them. Because I'm on next, and the thing is, they'll like my stuff too.
Yeah.
Because it turns out to be my mum, but it's a twist. So the point is, the public are easily fooled. Of course, there are comedy literate people who aren't. But I'm very happy to go and do what I do to an audience who've just laughed at a really simple joke, because they're still going to enjoy me. It's not they're going to go, no, we only like simple stuff. You know, I can't judge someone's IQ for laughing at a simple joke, because if they haven't watched much comedy, they don't know what's derivative.
Of course,
I'm not a film buff. I can watch a film, and I will say to someone, I just watched whatever film, and they'll go, no, God, oh no, because I break down what's wrong with it scientifically.
Yeah.
And I'll go, I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, I just thought it was fun.
I just enjoyed it. You know, I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and maybe a Tarantino fan will go, how can you mention that one? We're going to pull and start listing all. Do you realise the generic prop? They're like, no, I just watched Brad Pitt and what's his name? See, I don't even know his name. That bloke from Titanic.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all experts in different things. You know, in any industry, someone can walk into the studio and an architect will go, see that crack there? That's because that door should be 2 inches wider. Every industry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I kind of think of it like music, and I know it's quite a well-trodden kind of analogy, but I studied jazz at the Royal College, you know, and
My dad was a jazz pianist.
I know, yes, very exciting. Yeah, but I was, you know, so I'm very much into the technical aspects of music, you know.
And jazz is very mathematical, isn't it?
It's very mathematical, very kind of complex.
Who would know, right?
Yeah.
You've got the middle 8 where they all improvise.
Yeah.
A version of the same song.
Yeah.
But who would think improv is mathematical?
Exactly, yeah. But I think, you know, I often think of comedians as sitting in almost genres. So, you know, you've got your kind of pop comedian, and this guy, he's the one that most people are going to like, you know, and then you've got a jazz comedian who's like Stuart Lee, someone like that, who's kind of doing stuff like that, you know, and it's all about the technical aspects of it. And
so Michael McIntyre's pop music.
I would nowadays put Michael McIntyre in the pop.
Jack Whitehall a boy band?
That Jack, I won't. That's the first time I've ever recorded a podcast, and I thought I won't say exactly what I was just about to think.
Oh, really?
I would put him in a. You know, he is the absolute epitome of pop music. I'd say he's the Westlife of comedy.
Okay. Tommy Tiernan said I was the Miles Davis of comedy.
Oh, you see, now that's the one that you want. That's a very, very good compliment. That's exceptionally nice. Right, I think it's time to take our first little break. Do go to lafs.org.uk. If you like what you're seeing here, you can donate as little as £1 a month just to keep us going. Have a little look on our Instagram, our YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be back after this very short message. Thank you very much. Hi. I'm Sam Rhodes, one of the co-founders of LAFS, the London Arts Facilitation Society. If you're enjoying watching or listening to any of this content, we'd really like you to donate a little bit of cash to help us build access to all of this wonderful stuff for working class people from all over England. You can go to lafs.org.uk to donate as little as £1 a month to help us keep the lights on and help us make lovely art, podcasts, comedy specials and even professional wrestling for you at home. LAFS.org.uk. Donate today. Go on, do it for the LAFS. And we're back with the wonderful Adam Bloom. Hello again.
Hello again.
Hello. Obviously you'd been performing a long time. When did the idea to kind of compile this all into a book start to take shape?
I have to credit my friend Aidley Lloyd, who's a magician, an actor. He reads 3 chapters from the audiobook as well. He said, "You're a walking book." We were on a social media app called Clubhouse. Did you ever hear about that?
Oh, I remember that when that popped up.
I was obsessed with it. It was audio only, just chat rooms, up to 8,000 people, but nonetheless chat rooms. And that's not 8,000 people all talking over each other. There's a stage and an audience. And he kept saying, "Write a book, Adam, write a book, Adam, write a book." And then we're on Clubhouse, and Erica James, who wrote 50 Shades of Grey, was in a room. She's a regular in our rooms.
Oh,
We actually got to meet up with her a couple of times. Lovely lady. And he went, "Adam's writing a book, everyone," which is a very clever thing to do, because now the word's out there. So if someone goes, "How's your book going?" So he told people, it was very clever, right?
Yeah.
And the first person in the world to go watch a book about was Erica James, who'd sold 165 million books. Nice. I haven't quite reached that number yet.
Yeah. It's certainly a good kind of a good thing to aim towards.
Yeah. So then my dad died.
Oh.
And that was in May 2022. So New Year's Day 2023, I gave up drinking and started writing a book.
Wow.
I just went, do 2 things at once and then focus. And I pretty much wrote it in 2 months, and then spent 6 months trimming it down. I just spurted it all out.
Yeah.
So it's just really, I mean, it was 8 months' work, but it was 2 months. Apparently, this is called the 80-20 theory. Have you heard this before?
Yeah.
Well, because I was telling a friend, I said, I wrote it in 2 months and spent 6 months. They went, "That's pretty much exactly 80-20. You do 8% of the work in 20% of the time."
Yeah.
And then, if it came out as the first draft, it'd be an awful book. I had to tweak it and trim it. I trimmed 20,000 words out.
Well, you're very lucky, because some people, I mean, I know I personally myself, I get full of ideas. I start writing something. I'm absolutely obsessed with it for a month.
Oh, then you drop it.
And then I go, and I never get back to it.
But you're married, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm married, that's true. So just do that.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah. But I think getting over the hurdles of writing stuff is a big challenge in itself. Like, A, being focused enough to continue on what you're trying to say. B, not losing faith in it when you read back over it. This is something that I've occasionally struggled with, And C, having the wherewithal to go, like, this needs to exist.
Yeah, well, doubt is like a brake on a wheel, isn't it? My uncle said to me when I was a kid that anyone could have a good idea, but from the brain to the finger is 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah.
That's what he said to me.
Well, that's
yeah. He was Mr. Tickle.
That's great. So you self-published this as well, didn't you?
So I did it on a budget of £1,200.
Wow.
And that's including the program I wrote it on, Vellum. I've got to promote Vellum. VELLUM. It lays out a book in infinite ways for you, and combinations of everything, and then it shows you on one half of the page what it will look like on the page. So you're typing there, you can see the paragraph breaks and everything. You can click buttons, see it on a phone, all phone brands, all smartphones, Kindle, and then page. You just choose the size of the paper and everything, and then drag JPEG illustrations in where you want them. It couldn't be more user friendly, and it's free until you publish.
Oh, wow. So you can use it completely for free, and then
it's only when you turn to a PDF and an EPUB. EPUB's for the Kindle. I'll tell you a lovely thing. I got offered a couple of publishing deals, but they were very bad deals. And one night, this is where booze has its advantages. I'm going self-publish, have to spend money and take a risk. Publishing deal, have it in shops, but get very little back. If you might not even recoup, right? And then I got a bit drunk one night, and I bought Vellum.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because I thought, well, I'm committed now. I can't. I turned them down by spending about 300 quid, 250 quid. I turned them down by spending, because they go, "We'll offer you a deal. If you thought about a deal," I go, "I can't. I've just bought Vellum."
Yeah, exactly. I've got to put it out myself now. I've paid the first step to it.
Booze has its advantages.
There you go. Sometimes that is what you need in your head.
Absolutely. So, but anyway, but Vellum is incredible. But I did it, 1,200 quid, the whole thing, proofreading, illustrations, cover design. I designed the light bulb, which we've got here. But I said to a friend, Elaine Bateman, who put it online for me, she's an author, she's very helpful. I want some cover design help. So she put a thing on Facebook, and the first person to reply is the first person I used. So if they're keen enough to reply, then they've got the job.
Oh, that's
Her
lovely.
name's Alice Briggs, and she came up with the quotes. Can I just pick it up?
Oh, of course you can. Yes, that's what we're
Thank
doing
you.
here today. Yes.
So I got a quote from Ricky Gervais there and a quote from Jim Jeffries there. They were taking up quite a lot of space on the book. She said, look, this might be a bit too much. What do you think of this? And I looked at it. I just went, I love it. Because and also, I took it as they're supposed to be rays of light coming from a bulb. My sister saw it as words going into a microphone.
Okay,
So I think she fluked an ingenious double meaning. But the point is that to me, if only you could see how much space they took. They were almost like stains. Almost.
Yeah.
These quotes from these giants of comedy were actually ugly as print because they interfere with that. So that there, she also put the title at the bottom. She put my name small, and I said to her, look, this isn't ego, but should my name be a bit bigger? And she said no, because if they're the same size, your brain, they compete for your attention. So there's a industry phrase for it. Again, a generic rule. You can break it, but at least understand it. That if one's bigger than the other, your eyes go to the title. If they're the same size, you get stuck going, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
So that's it. But anyway, she also put the book on the bulb on the spine. So my point is, I wasn't arrogant enough to think I've created a good logo, therefore I don't need a cover design. I go, no, she earned her money tenfold because the rays of light and the bulb on the spine.
Yeah.
Just if someone does something for a living, they'll probably do it better than you.
Well, I call this the Jean-Luc Picard effect.
Elaborate, please.
If you're in charge, your job is not to say I'm in charge, I know best. Your job is to be the person who can find the best person for the job. So I often say if something breaks in engineering, Jean-Luc Picard doesn't go down and fiddle with it himself.
Right.
He gets the guy who understands engineering to explain it to him, and then he makes his decision.
Are there some geniuses who don't really do anything? Are there some geniuses who are just good at picking the right people?
Oh, definitely,
and step back and watch it all happen.
I would say producer Rick Rubin is one of such guys.
Beastie Boys.
Yes, exactly,
Right.
Beastie Boys. And if you look at what he technically does on any recording, it's next to nothing. But he just sits there and is like, I have exactly the right idea of exactly what we need to do about this.
Oh, wow.
He never touches a mixing board, Rick Rubin. He doesn't know how to record music. But he's the most famous producer in all of the world, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a talented guy, and I think that's how you end up with something. I mean, this is a super eye-catching design. This is something that's definitely going to get people going, and I think like a lot of people, if you want to get into something, you want to research it, and I think this looks like a good textbook as well as an interesting book, if that makes sense. It has vibes for me of like a nice science textbook or something like that.
It's very scientific.
Yeah,
but no one had written. I did extensive research. All books on stand-up, and if I missed one, I apologise. Were just basic how to do comedy books. They didn't. I hit the ground assuming you've done stand up, but acknowledge that you might not have done. So I'm saying, if you're glimpsing into your future, jump on board. But I skipped the basics and went straight into the advanced. So there are no chapters on repetition of words in other books of stand up because that's a very fine detail. But I did a whole chapter on repetition of words. So I wrote the only book that I could write on comedy, which would be an advanced one, because that's the only thing I'm interested in talking about, and there happened to be a gap in the market for it. So imagine how excited I was getting my thoughts down that were... I ran it by 29 people before, and about 24 of them were comedians, and they were all going, no, I haven't thought about this before. Such as putting all punchlines into either balls or cubes, for example. No one went, oh, yeah, I thought like that. So I knew I was onto something without saying conceited, because if 25 comedians go, this is new, then it's probably new.
Well, just before we started recording, I think what you've done so well in this book is you've taken ideas that a lot of working stand-ups have had, and you've given them a language to express this thing, rather than just saying, oh, I kind of had this idea. The way you talk about the balloon pop is something that I hear so many comedians talking about now. And what's very interesting is you hear them talking about it, you can tell they've learnt it from someone who's read your book, or maybe they've learnt it from someone who's learnt it from someone who's read the book, Your seesaw effect theories and stuff like this, these all have become a language that people now use, and it is good because it helps to write jokes, for one, but it helps to explain to other people, people why what you've written for them or what you've said for them is better for them, you know.
Yeah, or if you just suggest a tweak in the dressing room. I mean, look, a 5-year-old's vocabulary, you know, they wouldn't be able to say, I felt that teacher was patronising. They would just go, you know, like, they might say, you know, it felt like it was more like a nursery teacher, like they were treating me like I was 2 years old. If you just go patronising, done, one word, right? And, you know, when you think about a child's vocabulary, they're going to have to work harder to express a feeling because they don't know there's a word for it.
Yeah.
So there were few, I mean, boom mic moments is one phrase, and what was the other one someone mentioned? Someone said they're in another country and someone said, I want to do this, but is that a boom mic moment? They didn't ask if they read the book. They took it as read. And what's going to happen as well is there'll be younger people who hear the phrases, don't know it's from my book, and just think it's a phrase.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
They don't even know it's my phrase.
Yeah.
But there was a word smuggle. There's a word smuggle. Can I talk about a boom mic moment?
Of course you can, yeah.
So this has apparently caused some controversy in Europe. My pet hate in comedy is when a conversational comedian, not a one-liner comedian, someone who presents themselves as someone who's just having a chat with you as their new friend, refers to the time they did that bit of material before somewhere else, right? Because all of a sudden we go, oh, this is an act. But you might go, yeah, but they know it's an act. Yeah, but they're lost in the moment. When I watched Sean Locke's 2005 Edinburgh show, my favourite hour I've ever sat through live, it was about the second last show of a run of 4 weeks. I didn't once think, I wonder if he's bored of saying this. He said this every night. I was just in the moment. So a boom mic moment is when the boom mic appears in a film and you go, oh, this is all acting.
Yeah.
And it takes you out the moment. You're now imagining Quentin Tarantino sitting in a chair, aren't you?
Exactly, yeah.
So as soon as you see a boom mic, you feel ripped off. I think, I watched someone doing, this was last week, a passionate rant. And at the very end of it, they said, I did this the other day and someone said this, right? And I went, so you did all this thing that's from the heart. You just told us.
That it's pretend.
Yeah, it's pretend. Because you can't get angry every night, can you?
No, of course not. Yeah.
Who gets angry every night and then goes off stage and is happy? Do you know what I mean? Having a nice cup of tea, then gets angry, then goes have a cup of tea again. So the point is, I was believing his passion. I didn't think this is material, although I knew it was. I didn't think this has been said for the 100th time, although I knew it was. In that moment, I was just watching someone saying to me, this is how frustrated I am about this subject. Don't remind me you've said it before. Nothing's to achieved. Yeah, I know I'm getting one extra laugh. Yeah, is it really worth getting one extra laugh?
Is it worth destroying the illusion?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure you were aware of this, but in wrestling it's called kayfabe, that you live in character. Oh, do you not? Okay, so kayfabe is this idea that you live in character. So obviously wrestling is planned, but if I meet my favourite wrestler and he's supposed to be feuding with another wrestler, but they've turned up in the car together and they're chatting away and having a fun time afterwards, right. I go, wait a minute, he's not angry at him, and it destroys the illusion. Right?
That's very interesting. No, I hadn't heard that. So I mentioned in the book that I said to Paul Foote, who's an incredible comedian, I said to him, I don't want my audience seeing with my coat on. I just want to appear. And he nodded. He went, yeah, the show starts when you walk in the building. It's a similar thing, right?
Yeah,
and
very
I said
much.
in the book, you could even argue the show starts when you arrive in the vicinity of the building. I said, imagine seeing Graham Norton oozing charm and warmth in a studio, having seen him screaming abuse at a traffic warden 10 minutes before. So that's the reverse of the wrestlers,
exactly, yeah,
isn't it? Yeah. So Ed Byrne's one of my best friends, and he's an incredible comedian. He was brilliant from day one. If anyone was Peter Kay, Ed Byrne, there was a couple who just the final product was there from day one.
Yeah.
And he reads, can I just say, in the audiobook, he reads 4 chapters. He reads it like he's improvising about his own life.
Wow. Yeah.
It's insane. I can't read my own thoughts as well as Ed Byrne can. If you heard it in the background, you would think someone was just talking to you about their life. He's reading. And there were no retakes and there were no edits.
Wow.
He didn't have to have a word edited or changed.
That's amazing, yeah. Some people just kind of have that.
Some
don't
people
they?
were a nightmare. One person thought semicolons didn't exist.
What?
The edit was a massive... The edit went through 11 rounds of editing. To put it in perspective, the 9th round had 50 tweaks.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It is 10 hours long. It is 10 hours long. But I have 8 guest narrators. But I think an audience seeing 2 wrestlers having fun before they go in the ring... what's the word again?
Kayfabe.
What does it mean?
It means the reality of the scene, basically. It's kind of akin to like method acting. You know, so for example, The Undertaker is the example I always use. He lived in character for 30 years. in public, he would never acknowledge his real name. He would never act with any fan in a way that showed he was anyone except the Undertaker.
Love it.
And I think it's great. As I said, go for it.
Okay, so 2004, I did the Just for Laughs tour, which is a month of big theatres. I mean, 1,500 to 3,000, maximum 2 shows in one night of 3,000 people. That was maximum. Toronto, 6,000 people in one night. It was a month. I was the only non-North American on the bill. All Canadians and Americans. It was the best month of my life, creatively. Just going out there every night to big theatres and being different, being English. You know, suddenly I'm exotic.
Yeah.
And anyway, we were in Calgary, I think. And this bloke has got downstairs. There's 2 levels to get down to where we were. There's catering. It's a big theatre, and there's a guy there, and everyone's having a selfie with everyone. I think, well, I don't know how he managed to get downstairs. So I put my arm around him on the end of the line.
Yeah.
And I introduce myself, and he looks right through me. And I think, this bloke's rather ungrateful. I'm giving him a selfie, and he don't. It was the Hitman. What's his name?
Oh, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
you thought you were doing one of the greatest wrestlers of all time a favour.
I thought some bloke had managed to get past. So all these other comedians were in awe of him.
Yeah.
And but it was nice. I had a chat with him afterwards, and I was saying how much I've enjoyed Canada. And he went, "Oh, what did you see?" You know, he took an interest. But his presence was, I mean, just on another world.
One of the greatest of all time.
Is he really?
Oh yeah, Bret the Hitman Hart. Considered by many to be the greatest ever to do it.
Oh, well, so we sat together in the bar, and I think, of course, when you're that well known, but someone doesn't know who you are, it's probably quite nice.
It's quite nice, yeah.
It's
definitely,
quite nice. Yeah. But yeah, I just remember thinking, this bloke's a bit ungrateful. I'm giving him a selfie.
Right. And on that bombshell, we have to take another break. Go to lafs.org.uk. Do think about donating some money if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Make sure you buy Adam Bloom's wonderful book. We'll be back after this short break. Hi, I'm Kenneth Conleth, and you may notice I'm a rather beautiful puppet. I was made by the good people at Dark Matter Puppets in Essex, and if you need a puppet made, or you want to buy a puppet that's already been made, find Dark Matter Puppets on Instagram or Facebook and send them a message. Tell them Kenneth sent you. That's right. Buy yourself a puppet. What are you waiting for? And we are back with Adam Bloom. Now, I want to talk to you about something that I find a bit contentious, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about just before the break. How do you feel about notes on hands and notes on stage?
Don't get me started. There are only 2 times it's acceptable to have notes on stage. One, if the audience know you're doing new stuff. Forget the boom mic moment there. They're inside the boom with you.
Yes.
Or if you're a big name who's gracious with your presence at a club, and you're trying some stuff out, and we're lucky to have you there. I watched someone doing a 5-minute set, and they glance at their hand twice, they watched 3 times in 10 minutes. I'm going, my dad said as a musician, if you look at your watch on stage, it looks like you don't want to be there, you want to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've glanced, but I've got methods. Woody Allen wrote the pocket watch joke so he could take his watch. Do you know the pocket watch joke?
Yeah, and he's actually checking some notes.
I'll tell the listener, the viewer. He said he's wearing a tweed waistcoat and blazer. He said, I got this pocket watch. It makes me look European. My grandfather on his deathbed sold me this watch. Anyway, but he wrote that joke so he could look at his watch.
Oh, I see.
And I had a joke when I turned the microphone like that to demonstrate something, and you can see a watch like that. But just blatantly doing that, I mean, how hard is it to gauge 10 minutes?
Yeah, it shows quite a lot of disrespect for the people you're working to as well.
But also, 3 times in 10 minutes, like. What you thought at 5 it might be 10? Come on, or you want to go how far into my set 3 times and the hand twice. So we're just watching this all the way through the show. I mean that's 5. That's every 2 minutes. Average of every 2 minutes. So if you can't remember 10 minutes of stuff, and I'm going on after you and I'm doing half an hour and I'm not looking at my that shows you're not committed.
Yeah, it's quite unprofessional, isn't it?
My short-term memory is diabolical. But if I want to look at some notes before I go, let's say I do an award ceremony and I've got awards are different because you've got the script they've given you of the list of awards to read out. But let's say I'm doing a 20-minute set at a corporate event and I write 4 jokes about that company. I will stare at those jokes in the dressing room or whatever backstage area and say them out loud again and again and again, and just drum it into my head like I'm learning a script for a play. I say them and then I forget them.
Yeah.
But the point is that look at your hand. I mean, that's a boom mic moment itself because it's saying this is written.
Yeah, I've written this. I'm showing you all that I've thought of this before.
Yeah.
I really think it does take you out of the flow of the thing. My favourite one I heard was Billy Connolly. You know, he always had a stool on stage with water on. The stool had a glass top, and he had his notes inside the stool.
That's great.
So he would just have bullet points.
That's great.
Through. So when he stops to get water, because he's
quick look.
exhausted from working, that's when he's having his little sneaky peek at what bullet point he's got next.
The other one is the monitors, because the audience can't see the monitors.
I've used the monitors before, yeah. When I record my specials, I've always had just bullet points to make sure I get everything there, but they're always hidden, never on the hand.
So there's one, if you put it on the thumb in thin Sharpie, on the thumb and inside the index finger, if you're holding the mic, they can't see that because it's there.
Oh, I see, yeah.
But that's limited notes, right?
Yeah, you could have a word or two
It
words.
might be that you're introducing someone with a very long name, and you're an MC. But for me, if you do it at all, you're allowing your memory to not work as well as it could do. Mm-hmm. So it's a crutch.
Yeah.
And I never do it because I know that means my brain goes, I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I would never do it. You know, Billy Connolly doing that and the audience can't see. It's great they can't see, but it'd be even better if you just learnt it. I mean, you could go, yeah, but if they don't know, it doesn't matter. Fair point. But it's still, you're training your brain. Like I used to be very good at maths, and since calculators have been on phones, I'm not.
Yeah, because you're not working that muscle all the time. Yeah.
So to me, it's like just training that thing. I do memory things, and this isn't in the book because it's not my idea, but... If I'm going, give me 2 subjects in a row. Any random 2 subjects.
Godzilla and trains.
Right. So if the Godzilla routine ends with an image of Godzilla, and the next routine starts with a train, I'll just imagine Godzilla sitting on a train,
oh, I see,
bulging out the windows, his arms out. It's a strong image, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A train with his arms there, the tail at the end, and you can't forget that. But it only works if the Godzilla's the last thing you say and train's the first thing.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So then you go, da-da-da, and then Godzilla turned up, and
Yeah.
you see the train, you go, anyway, oh my God, my train's running here today. And it's so my Edinburgh show, 2024, I was changing the order throughout my previews, and I was changing the mental images. I had an umbrella spiking through a Scotch egg. I earlier had a Scotch egg floating in a swimming pool, right?
Yeah.
What I found was when I changed it from Scotch egg in a swimming pool to umbrella, the old one went away very quickly.
Yeah.
And the new one comes. It just as soon as I say blah 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 umbrella, instantly Scotch egg, boom, and then it jogs you.
Triggers the next
It
bit,
triggers
yeah.
it, and it's very simple. Strong visual images.
This is called like a mind palace, isn't it? Is this
Don't
the
know.
idea? Where you
Oh, that's going for the house.
Oh, yeah, that's that one, isn't it?
That's
yeah.
going for the. Yeah, you go clockwise through all the rooms in your home. So I mean, rich people are probably better at it, right?
Yeah, because they got more rooms to go through. Yeah.
But visual association. But you know, so yeah. If any new comedians looking, audiences can see scribbles on your hand. It doesn't even look nice. Who wants to be entertained by someone with scribbles on their hand? Your hand is part of the show, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you're very limited with what is part of the show.
I mean,
aren't
what
you,
if it
you
was
know?
all over you?
Exactly, yeah.
Like the bloke in Prison Break.
I can only do my set where I take my shirt off halfway through and get a mirror out so I can see the rest of it. Yeah,
Get an encore and pull your trousers down.
I very much liked in the book, you talk about people who tell stories a little bit more and you describe them as kind of magical people. And this idea that you've just dropped into this environment and this vibe that you're bringing of just like, I'm free, I'm interesting, I'm alluring. And I really enjoyed that because I felt I'm not a guy who sits and over obsesses about gags and lines and word counts. I did for a while and it didn't work for me. I do a lot of improvising and that is very much that, like I was saying earlier, that put a thought I've often had into words, you know, and into an idea that it is about, oh, this magical, interesting person has kind of invaded our space, you know, and all of a sudden it made an awful lot of sense to me. So how would you describe kind of your vibe when you are on stage?
So I've got a feeling, because I will talk about being a comedian, which is not a boom mic moment. It's a person talking about their life. Emo Phillips would be a boom mic moment if he talked about being a comedian, because he's not. He's
He
a weird
never
magical
breaks
person.
character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But a magical person in the sense that I'm a quirky bloke, and they get lost in my quirkiness, but I will still acknowledge I'm a comedian, and I worry that one day I look back and go, don't remind me you're a comedian, just let them get lost in the magic. Is that a boom mic moment? But the reason I do it is because I'm sharing my life, which is everything about my life, which is doing what I'm doing. So that's not a boom mic for me, because I'm just honest.
Yeah.
But there are some people who just, Harry Hill is one, Milton Jones is one, they are oddballs who'd appear and just, they're just weird. And therefore, they shouldn't tell you that they're a comedian, because they're not.
Yeah.
They're this
They're
weird
an interesting,
Yeah.
crazy kind of entity.
You mentioned storytelling, and that was how your interpretation of it was. It applies to anyone who's just being this oddball that we just go, this person's wandered into the space, they've been weird, and then they've left.
Yeah.
So, even saying, I'll leave you with this, or, thanks for coming. I mean, Emo Phillips' special in London in 1989, 1990, at the end of it, he went, thank you for being my friends. Bye-bye, right?
Yeah.
What a lovely way of putting it, right?
Yeah.
He didn't go, oh, we sold out tonight, and I'm really glad we're doing extra dates, so thanks, London, you've been lovely.
Yeah.
'Cause that would ruin it.
Yeah, because it doesn't fit with the thing. I've often considered my vibe to be fun uncle at a party. I'm like an unusual guy. I'm quite... this is very, very much in the weeds, but as I said...
You look like creepy uncle invention.
Oh, okay. I try not to go too much for creepy, because it's like you say.
No, you got a fun energy.
I try and keep this kind of fun energy. As I said, I'm some weird stonery dude that is your brother's friend,
and you got light-hearted twinkle in your eye.
Yeah, I keep it like that because, as I said early on, I tried to be very alternative. I tried to be very big. I tried to be very mobile. I was very loud, and I moved a lot. And I met an act who was a pro act, and he said to me, your material's okay, but you are too loud and you move too much. You're a big guy, and when you move, you scare people.
Oh, really?
And he was 100% right.
Who was it?
It was, what's his name?
The Hitman Hearn.
It was Brett the Hitman Hart, yeah.
Hart. I don't even know his name. Brett, I don't even know your surname.
No, I'll dig up his name and I'll add it at the bottom
English
here.
comedian.
English comedian, yes. And he was 100% right.
Mark Mayer, in 1997 in Hong Kong, just before the changeover, said, can you do me a favour? Can you smile more? Best advice I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird how those little things just trigger it. Because I thought my onstage persona was very, very different to me. But it turns out my onstage persona is a lot closer to me than I thought it was going to be.
I was being shouty and frowning and wasn't my natural clown. Sometimes you have to take a while to actually shed your skin and go back to being who you are. Yeah.
And it's the same with musicians. You're kind of inspired by people, aren't you? And you try and emulate those people. But it's not necessarily your voice by doing that.
Right.
I mean, you were probably coming up when Lee Evans was very big.
He was the current Perrier winner when I started, yeah. But this is why Peter Kay and Ed Byrne are so exceptional, because they just appeared as them. I didn't see Peter Kay from them. I saw him win So Think Funny, phenomenal. I saw Ed maybe 3 months in. So Peter Kay winning So Think Funny would have probably been 6 months in, right?
Yeah.
No more than a year. This is why they're exceptional, because they knew who they were. I was trying to be Ben Elton because I'd overdosed on him, and then gradually I started to do my thing and gradually smile more and more colourful clothes and the childlike energy came out. But I was being anything but childlike at the beginning. I was being aggressive because that's what I thought comedy had to be.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I totally relate to that. Yeah, I thought that I had to say edgy things. I thought that I had to put people in an unease, and I just realised all I was doing there is making a rod for my own back. I was making life very hard for myself.
Who are you trying to be?
As I said, I was a huge fan of the young ones, big fan of Alexi Sale especially, like in physicality and movement. I really...
Huge fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
I really wanted to be like him.
Huge fan. He's probably an influence on me as well.
I think we probably grew up with a similar frame of reference.
Stuff. Alexi Sale's show stuff. He was doing stand-up on location with studio audience laughter, but he would do stand-up standing on a traffic island, look at the camera, and then they'd play the clip to a studio audience.
Yeah.
And then he'd get back on his moped. There was a shot of him driving on the moped, and then he would stand outside a council estate with his moped and his helmet there and just do stuff. It was his view of the world around us. But that was location. It was almost the closest thing to lockdown comedy.
Yeah. Just him on his own.
Stuff. Yeah. Alexis Stale's stuff. That was groundbreaking, I think.
Well, I also loved how he could be so shouty and aggressive and seem so angry, and at the same time have these real beautiful flashes of genuine intelligence,
and social commentary.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, I'm very jealous of how he managed to pull all that together, because I would have loved to have been that sort of act.
He wore a suit that was 3 sizes too small, but bursting.
Yeah,
and he's very clowny, and he would make as good a points as anyone. I'm trying to think of favourite Alexis Sale lines. I love one of these said, people always say to me, Alexi, why are you always drunk? And I say, because I can afford to be.
I always loved the story that when he first set up because he was one of the first MCs at the Comedy Store, wasn't he?
The opening night.
The very first MC at the Comedy Store. And if his shows weren't going well, he'd just eat a raw pot noodle. Which I just think is like great. He'd just be like, do you want to see me do this? And everyone would go, yay. So that's to fight with the strippers back then for the time.
So my mentor's Arnold Brown. Have you heard of Arnold Brown?
The name rings a
He's
bell.
Glaswegian comedian. He's 88 right now. He won the Perrier Award in 87. First solo comedian to win the Perrier Award.
Wow.
And he was in the comic strip of Alexis Sale. So I've got an album with all of that lot, that whole clan, and Arnold Brown was in it.
Wow.
Yeah, my mentor was in with Alexis Sale.
That's fantastic.
Did the opening night at the Comedy Store, yeah.
Have they actually got a recording of that?
No, they released an album of them doing stand-up, possibly there, but no, I don't think. There's a little footage of Alexi early days there on TV, but no, that album wasn't opening night. But Alexi was the resident compere at the Comedy Store in 1979.
Yeah, so cool. I wish I could have been there. Right, and on that, we need to take another short break. We're going to be back with our final little chunk after this break. Go to lafs.org.uk. Have a think about donating some money. Go on, it's helping working class people make nice things. We'll be back shortly. Thanks very much. And we are back with our fourth and final chunk with the wonderful Adam Bloom. Right, I'm going to ask you a question that comedians have often get asked. What is the worst show you've ever done?
My 6th gig.
Oh, he's got it out of the way early.
It was up. Well, yeah, gosh. Yeah, I haven't topped it in 32 years.
Wow.
My 6th gig was Up the Creek. And this was when Up the Creek was known for the Sunday night rowdy heckling nights. And I rang up on the Sunday, no social skills. And they said, oh, actually come down tonight. We've got the TV cameras down. I went, oh, it's my big break, big break. The reportage, we're doing a show, Deaf 2, was a Deaf 2 reportage. It's part of the same thing. A whole documentary on comedy, and this was a section on heckling, and they were inviting hecklers from the previous Sunday down, giving them free drinks, and put 2 cameras in the audience and 1 on the stage, and we were lambs to the slaughter, and I was the 6th of 6 open spots in a row.
Oh my God.
And only 1 did well. Couple died. One died badly, and they ripped me to shreds, and it's the only time I've ever been heckled off. I wasn't heckled off because I wouldn't leave, actually. But it's the only time I've had a room go boo at me ever. And I got it 6th gig in. Oof. And on one level, it doesn't count because I was a lamb to the slaughter. In all fairness, they did set me up.
You were set up to fail there, yeah.
But it was, I mean, I'll tell you a funny thing. BBC did a 3-hour documentary about stand-up comedy, and there's one clip of me on a BBC stand-up show in the thing, which is a massive one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I got 30 seconds of 3 hours on British comedy throughout the years. But there was a section they talked about heckling, and they used a soundtrack just to get this mood. And I recognised my booing from the BBC archives. So I made that documentary twice. Yeah, you could even just hear my voice, but it's almost muffled, like my voice. Because I'd listened to that death so many times, so I recorded it. I recognised the sound wave, that specific boo. I was like, they've used me as a clip of good comedy, and my audience is a clip of bad comedy. So that was the worst. Yeah.
Oh dear, that's good. Do you ever still, on occasion, have a day? Because you've been going longer than me, but I get sometimes too comfortable, and I feel like I know what I'm doing. And then once in 2 years, one will just absolutely fall apart on me.
We're always
still
learning.
Get that on occasion? Yeah.
I mean, it's like I had a guy in Dublin recently, 6'2" Dutch guy, got physically removed from my gig in a small room 1 minute into my gig where I hadn't established myself.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I've never been in this situation before. And I always think we're all new comedians, just with different levels of experience, rather than, you know everything. So I'm on stage going, for whatever reason, my opening line didn't get a big laugh. My second line got an okay. So there was a slight, is this guy going to be funny? Right, which very rarely happens to me in a packed room.
Yeah.
But it did happen that night. You know, I was in another country. It was, they're all tourists. There's no one from Dublin in the room. So there's this international audience watching this guy from England. And my opening line, just a polite chuckle. Second line, all right laugh. Then the sound guy comes over and says, "You're going to have to leave," because the guy's talking. He's been heckling. And now everyone's focus is on a 6'2" guy being physically removed. Then it goes back to me, and they're like, "Oh, you're that guy we don't trust."
Oh, right, yeah,
So
because
I didn't have
the energy
authority.
is really shifted. Yeah.
So that combination of not trusting me because it's a minute in, I didn't have authority. Whereas if it had happened 10 minutes into my gig, I know I've been there 100 times. I've been there 200 times.
Yeah, you can pull it back
So
round,
my
yeah.
brain went, I've never been in this dynamic, this combination of energies. I haven't been. So I was a new comedian. So I worked, and it took me 7 minutes to get them to really get on board. The gig ended quite well. Maybe it ended a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
But it was a 4 out of 10 for 5-6 minutes. And the club were very, so they apologised to me. In fact, the boss who'd heard about it apologised because he knew that's not an easy thing to deal with.
Yeah.
But I'm there with 32 years experience going, I've never been in this specific situation before. And therefore, yeah, there's always one. But that's what keeps it exciting, right?
Definitely.
It doesn't matter how good a gig looks, there could be that one thing. There could be someone walking out. There could be someone standing up and taking offence. You know,
I always feel like the worst thing to feel at the end of a show is nothing. You either want to kind of be excited about it or have ideas to maybe fix something. If it just goes absolutely cromulently, that's when I start to go, oh, I think something needs to change there, because maybe I'm getting comfortable, maybe I'm getting a little too okay with this, you know, or I'm not having an idea about how to fix it for next time, you know.
Yeah, there should be some edge, something to keep you excited. I mean, I go into the crowd for that until I get my fix. If a gig's just swimmingly good but no challenge, I will go into the audience to challenge myself.
Yeah, you want to try and poke the bear a bit,
and create some endorphins in yourself.
Definitely, because you know you're a very high energy performer as well, which means I don't know how you'd approach this, because this is something I've often thought about. Say you've had a particularly tough day, particularly tough couple of days, and then you have to sell this character. We've already touched on this before. You know, you're kind of selling the character all the time, but do you have any sort of routine or anything you can do which helps you get into character, or are you just so comfortable there now that you can just turn it on?
So if I've had a tough day, I see the stage as a happy place. So it's almost like an escape from my bad day by 20 minutes or whatever the showtime is, set time, of being in this happy bubble. So to me, that's my escape. So a bad day doesn't affect my gig.
Yeah,
because I hear the laughter, and I'm like, okay, life's good in this room. Yeah. A tough gig after a tough day, that's hard.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
You're like, I went to a funeral today, and you're staring at me like this. So
Yeah.
that's tough, because you go, oh, I came to a happy place, and that's not even a happy place.
Yeah, exactly. And the temptation is to almost tell them off. Why isn't this a happy place? This is usually great for me, you know. But I think sometimes audiences are often a little more savvy than people give them credit for as well, because I think people can sense an insincerity, and people can also sense if you're kind of acting happy. And like you talk about with the boom mic moments, the amount of times I've seen comedians just say one thing that dropped the character or one thing that broke the flow, and then they just can't pull it back.
Oh, it happened in the same club in Dublin. A comedian was doing his charming thing, and someone in the front row was talking. We didn't even hear it from the back. And he just swore at him and told him to shut the F up. And then went back to his charming set. And was like, no, we just
doesn't work. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Well, I saw a similar thing, a guy doing a really great, very old-fashioned set. Do you know what I mean? It was just a real sturdy, felt like a 70s club set, but accessible. And about halfway through, someone started filming them on the phone. And he was this big, jolly, jovial guy, and all of a sudden he was like, you put your phone away, you can't film this.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? That was obviously because he'd got angry that he'd seen that.
Yeah, sure.
But then after that, he had another 10, 15 minutes on stage, and he just couldn't get him back on side.
I've never seen a good answer for a phone out. Oh, Dave Chappelle. Everyone had their phones locked away, and some bloke managed to get a second phone or whatever. And Dave Chappelle, he looked at me and went, bro, like that, right? And then he told a story about slavery that ended up being an intelligent parallel between getting your phone out and
wow.
the story. So it was great. He took us away and it came back and he made the point. That's him. I've never seen anyone I've never seen anyone be funny telling someone to put their phone away. Someone needs to write a generic stock line for everyone to use.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But, never. Dave Chappelle's the only time I've seen someone be funny telling someone to put their phone away.
He had that in the chamber, he was ready to go, yeah.
I've got hate cunt film, and I've still tried to play faithful because I know that I'm well aware of that dangerous boom mic moment, character-wise, and I still try and be playful, so at least I haven't broken character, but I haven't been funny. I'm just, you're a teacher. You become a school teacher.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, you've got to make people feel like they want to be there, haven't they? There's only one last topic I'd really like to talk about. Now, you go into joke writing in this book in a very really good way, especially with word economy, things like this. You yourself, you're obviously, I think we're similar in the way that we're not particularly edgy comedians. We're not kind of sweary guys. We're not out, trying to cause offence and stuff like this. But obviously, I don't personally believe this, but obviously the world nowadays says, oh, you can't say anything anymore. And I'm sure this is something you encounter a lot at parties and things because it's the first thing anyone says to me when I say I'm a comedian.
People who aren't comedians tell us what it's like to be comedians.
Yeah, all the time. Do you genuinely think there is a topic that is off? Do you think there's anything someone could pitch you and you would say, I don't think we can get anything out of this?
Well, it depends who you are, because Jimmy Carr did a gang rape joke when I saw him live, and the audience loved it. It was clever. It had a twist. It was economical. Very succinct joke. But they came to watch an edgy comedian. If you walk out of a Jimmy Carr show, you don't know what you've come to see.
Yes.
So I think that when they say, oh, you can't joke about anything these days, there's a grain of truth in that. I've got old jokes I brought back when the subject pops into my head and it doesn't work anymore. Public attitudes have changed.
Yes.
And I've tried that joke again, specifically doing it just to test it, and it's not worked. I'm going, there are words within that joke that trigger audiences that didn't trigger them before.
Yes.
We're all victims of the media. We think we're free thinkers. We're not. We're thinking the same. We have individual moments of thought, but public attitudes are a result of the world around us. It's hard to imagine that you wouldn't own a slave if you were in America in 1850 or whatever it was. But if everyone owned a slave, your ethics might be different. You go, no, it's disgusting. Some people did, but a lot of people had slaves.
Yeah.
And we go, I can't imagine. When your grandchildren say to you, did you really used to eat meat when it was legal?
Yeah.
You're going to have to go, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
right?
I did, yeah.
Turkey at Christmas did love. I don't eat meat, I eat fish. But, I see a picture of this Christian family around a table carving a turkey. Like, okay, you believe in God and you judge me for my sins. There's a dead animal on your table your children are eating.
Yeah.
A dead animal.
Well, I saw a very interesting piece of discussion recently, which was basically saying this guy was positing this idea that things like drag queens will be considered very old-fashioned and very like...
you're laughing at men in dresses.
Exactly, yeah. And,
absolutely.
And, this idea that this has been a form of entertainment that we've grown up with and seen our whole life, but that could easily change in 10 to 20 years,
In the 80s, by the way, I don't think you'd have owned a slave, by the way.
And that's good.
You can't afford one.
I'm putting that... I put that in the clip.
You'd be saving up for a slave. But my point is, public attitude change, and we look at barbaric things in the past with the judgment of our world we live in today. Public beheadings. A whole crowd cheering. You'd be like, "This is barbaric." Yeah, and if you were living in 1300s, you'd be going cheering.
Yeah, you'd be down there. Yeah,
there's not one person going, "This is outrageous." And if they are, they're from a time machine from 2026. And they went to the wrong day. You could have seen so many lovely things. You saw a head fall off. So what am I answering?
So do you... So basically, I think you've kind of answered it fairly succinctly. The idea that certain topics do become more and less taboo as time goes on.
So in the 80s, when you see a man in a wig and makeup who wants to be a woman and is living their life as a woman, you would inevitably nudge your friend, you look over, he's not fooling anyone. 2026, you go, that's someone who identifies as a woman and I accept them.
Yeah.
Right? If you've got drag on TV, that's there's a celebrity in a dress, wearing makeup, he looks ridiculous. That's not helping the cause of people who are born a man, identify as a woman because they were given the wrong genitals and they believe they are a woman in a dress, because that's saying let's laugh at them. So it's very the way the zeitgeist has changed. drag now looks wrong.
Yes.
But so does blackface.
Of course.
But when I do an old joke and it doesn't work, I look at the audience. I go, "You're all thinking the same, and 20 years ago you'd have all thought the same differently.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're not big individuals. You're part of society, and yet we like to think, when someone said, I did a Zoom corporate, and the guy went, a legal firm, he actually complained about me, and he went, "Oh yeah, we work on diversity," and I thought, "Oh yeah, you're working on diversity the year you were told to."
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
don't be proud of yourself. You're doing the thing you should have done before. I actually, when he introduced myself, I just looked at the talking about diversity. I just looked at the website, and they're very diverse because your directors are all white men and white women. But the point was, when he said we work on diversity, he said it in a self-righteous way.
Yeah, like I'm better than you because I'm doing
you're
this
working on
now,
diversity because it's a key buzzword of 2022.
Yeah.
You weren't diverse last year when you weren't thinking about it because someone had to tell you to do it. So don't boast. Say, do you know what? It's about time we caught up with the rest of the world. We're going to be diverse, and we really should have done this before. That would be a more graceful way of saying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're being diverse. The year of diversity, we've decided to become diverse.
Yeah.
And then next year, when a company's not diverse, you'll look down on them for doing something you didn't do for 20
that you
years.
weren't doing, 2 years before. It's such a strange thing because our mutual friend Phil Nichols is restaging his show, his Perrier Award show this year. And he was talking to me about a very similar thing. He said some of that material at the time that literally won him the Perrier Award, he's been doing previews with it and has been getting a very different response.
Interesting.
And that is within a lifetime, and this is, I think, 20 years between the first staging of the show and now. And
a lot's changed.
Yeah, and it says a lot about attitudes and how people think about things. I 100% don't buy into this idea that, people are looking to be offended and they want to shut it down. I don't believe that for a fact.
No.
And I believe a talented comedian could make a good joke about almost anything.
Yes.
But if it's difficult, it's got to be so damn good.
So if the key, and I talk about this in the book, if the triggering word is at the very beginning, you can lose an audience straight away.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I would put my triggering things at the end. Right. There's one I do a bit about matching with a trans woman on a dating site, but I dress the tension, so that pops that balloon, that gets rid of that bad energy, turns it into a laugh, and then you see my politics, you realise I'm actually not being anti-trans. But at the very beginning, when the audiences, especially young audiences, they go like that, and then I get my first laugh, acknowledging their discomfort and acknowledging how tense everyone is about this subject, but there are, it depends who you are as well, because if a 21-year-old gay female comedian talks about trans people, she looks like she's in that world, right? LGBTQ plus. But if a white man in his 50s says it to a young audience, they go, this is their prejudice.
Yeah, they're like, you're like my dad.
You're like my dad.
Yeah.
There we go. So, but yes, a skillful comedian, I think, can still talk about anything to almost any audience.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
I'll still say almost, because some people can recoil. There could be a full recoil. Rather than where's this going?
Yeah.
But there's a full recoil.
There's no getting back.
No, there's no getting back.
But yeah, I always put Stanhope out as my guy who I feel could say anything to anyone.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Can I tell you my Stanhope story?
Oh, please do. Yes. We'll finish on a lovely Doug Stanhope story because I'm such a fan of his.
I first met him in 1998, Just for Laughs. And I interviewed, 27-year-old me, interviewed him and Patton Oswalt for the Comedy Channel. And Stanhope was a good-looking young man. He's drunk himself to a different face, right? So I was on stage very briefly. I walked on stage once, had a brand new T-shirt that was on sale, a bit too tight for me, but it was on sale, so I bought it. Like would have been expensive. And I walked on stage, and this bloke went, "Beer gut," right? And I thought, I've got a beer gut. I lifted up my top to show I didn't have a beer gut, and this guy went, "Look at his belly button," right? I haven't done a line. I've had 2 heckles, right? So I improvised about my outie belly button, and then I came off stage, and this girl came up. She said, "Excuse me, I'm a doctor. That's not an outie. That's a hernia, right? Umbilical hernia. You need an operation." She said, "Does it hurt when I touch it?" Oh, I touched it, and I said, "No." She said, "Well, when you go to the doctor, tell them it hurts, and they'll fast track you because it could then become a serious problem." So even a doctor was telling me how to cheat the NHS, right? So I went to the doctor. They were just tapping. I went, "Oh!" All right. So I got fast tracked to operation. Anyway, years later, I'm at the Leicester Square Theatre watching Doug Stanhope. And he lifts his top up It does 5 minutes about his belly button being an outie.
Oh,
So I
no.
emailed him, because we've spoken before. I said, I think that's a hernia. And it was. We had the operation.
Amazing.
So me buying a T-shirt one size too small 15 years before
saved Doug
saved Doug
Stanhope's
Stanhope's life. Yeah. You owe me, Doug. But
That's right.
he is, in my opinion, the best opinionated comedian in the world, and there's no close second.
Oh yeah, no, I went to see him do one of his very big shows in London a couple of years ago. I don't think I've laughed as hard at anything. It's between that and once again Harry Hill doing a work in progress. I caught at a tiny little club because a friend of mine invited me. Unbelievably good.
And polar opposites, right?
Oh, exact opposites.
And yet I enjoy them just as much.
Exactly. Well, it shows the beautiful variety we have in this wonderful world that we work in. Right, just before we go, would you like to tell everybody where they can get the book and how they can, give you some money?
I left the book because I'm weighing on my chest.
Yeah.
Finding Your Comic Genius is only available on Amazon or Audible.
Mm-hmm.
So Audible is an audiobook and Amazon on Kindle or paperback. It's 4.8 average star rating, 360-something reviews. And it's actually the highest rated book on stand-up comedy on Amazon in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's ungracious to say that, but we're talking
it's
about
true.
it. But yeah, so Audible, if English is a second language, I think Audible's better.
Mm-hmm.
Car Journeys, obviously Audible's really good. I know people who've got both. If you have Audible and Kindle, you can read and view it, listen at the same time.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
a cursor moves across the Kindle on your phone or device while you hear the voice.
Oh,
and
that's handy.
That helps it go in, helps the information go in. But yeah, but I want to give a few away.
Oh, yes. So we are going to do a lovely little competition. We're going to make a tiny little reel afterwards, just you and I as well. Our competition is if you follow us on Instagram, LAFS UK. If you follow LAFS UK on Instagram and quote under the video your favourite line by your favourite comedian.
But it can't be you or me.
But it can't be
because that would be
me or Adam.
Corruption.
That is corrupt.
But it's just loads of your lines.
Just
my lines.
all of all of our lines. We're going to give away a free signed copy of this book to
three
free signed copies of this book to our favourite answers. Three.
You can't win 3 books.
Can't win 3 books. It's not one person winning 3 books. Three books to our 3 favourite answers.
Yes.
Adam, can I just say on a personal level that this book had really helped me and many of my contemporaries to be better at our jobs. So I'd just like to thank you very much for writing
my pleasure. Can I just tell you one more thing?
Of course you can, sir.
So the graffiti artist Banksy, who I do not know, there's a rumour I know him, I've never met him, he asked me to judge a competition called Gross Domestic Product, where he gave away about 850 Banksies, range from a signed spray can.
Wow.
To Stormzy's stab vest that he walked last week.
Yeah.
You had to pay £850 for the stab vest, but it was valued at £200,000.
Worth the money.
Spray cans were £15 plus postage, whatever. And there were 850 Banksies. I had to sit in his office without him there, and I had to spend 4 whole days, 4 8-hour days, going through randomly 272,000 emails.
Jesus.
Randomly. I didn't read them all. I probably read 15,000 emails. I mean, my brain was fried. They had to write in 50 words or fewer, why does art matter? And then, so they had a probably 1 in 100 chance of being read.
Yeah.
But if they were read and they were good, I won the prize. They won the prize. So someone wrote why art matters and won was £200,000 better off with the Stormzy thing. What's interesting was some people wrote really good answers for cheap prizes when they'd have got a bigger prize.
Yeah.
But, not everyone's got £1,000 to spend.
Of course, yeah.
There were £500 prints, but they were worth thousands. But my favourite one was Let's Roast Adam Bloom instead. Adam Bloom's very much like Banksy, as he's an expert at never getting recognised. Isn't that great?
That is fantastic, yeah. Well, we recognise you. And we respect you. We've got you here. Adam Bloom, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching or listening at home. I've been Sam Rhodes. This is Adam Bloom. Have a safe journey home. I'll see you later. Goodbye.